Van here with VanLife Biker Show. Smash that like, give me a sub, and share, guys. Let's build this channel. Appreciate your support. Hey guys, Van here with VanLife Biker Show. Little update. We got the first half of the platform in yesterday. Got this guy hinged. Use piano hinges if you're going to do such a thing. I picked up a little, kind of like a cooler, but it's a refrigerator freezer. So the plan is to maybe set that down in here once we get this cleaned up a bit. You know, as you know, those of you who have watched the progress from the beginning, that green and yellow is just a coil of wire setting there, but the black and reds actually go to things, and we've really got to get this stuff kind of cleaned up. But wanted to just get the electrical hooked up and temporaried in. As you can see, I got some jumper cables there coming off the battery bank, and that's just going to my 12-volt fuse panel over here dangling in the air. So we've going to have to get into this and get this thing tidied up eventually, but today we're going to discuss plumbing. So just want to say, ignore the mess. Everything's under construction as usual, but I've found something that I think is going to work that might save you guys a few bucks. This here I found at the Big Blue Box store, and it was 15 bucks, guys. This is 24 feet of flex tubing. I think, you know, not under pressure, but I think this could easily be used for drain pipes. It's flexible for one, and comes with a few fittings. Not the white one, couldn't find that in the ABS. So, and I really overbought everything. I was there last night. I walked through the door about 8:30, so I bought 2 of these, 3 of those. You know the deal, just trying to get in and out. So a lot of PEX fittings for your supply lines. I would highly recommend using PEX. It's less prone to freeze and pretty flexible. You can buy a tool that you use these bands, or you can buy the just press in type like this here. Not sure if you guys are familiar with this. This is a check valve, what they call a check valve, and you can see the arrow there. So these just, the PEX just stabs in. You guys don't need any tools or not, but I'd highly recommend buying the tool. It's just like a huge pair of pliers, kind of like about the size of bolt cutters, I guess, and you put these little rings on the, here's a valve for an example. So you put the ring over the hose, which is called PEX, and you slip the PEX onto that. And you can see these 2 little bevels there. So you'd slide the ring back up over top of those, and then you just crimp it down. It'll probably save you some money in the long run. The tool will pay for itself versus buying all of these style. And you'll have the tool left over when it's all said and done. I haven't had any problems with either one, as long as it's crimped properly in the right spot. Once it's set, it's gold for life from my experiences. It's a good setup. So I want to go over, this is the orientation of the supply water tank. So I want to go over kind of how this stuff needs to be done if you're in question on how to do plumbing in a van, how it's done in an RV. So the reason I oriented it this direction, you can see we got an 1.5 inch threaded plug on the top of the tank, and there's a 1/2 inch here on this corner, and we've got a 1.5 inch on the bottom on this corner, and a 1/2 inch on the top over here. To orient you guys how we're sitting, driver seats are up that direction. So what you call like a pickup truck, probably people notice more so, is what you have as a rake. So your rear axle tends to set up a little higher, and the same goes in a van. Is when you put weight in it, your rear end is going to come down because most of your weight will be in the back of the pickup truck, correct? So if I set this camera pretty much level, you can see the rear is higher, correct? So we have a rake in the van, what they call a rake. So it usually tends to be 3, 4, 5 inches higher in the back. So this is how we want to set this up. That bottom right will be the supply of the water, because the water is naturally going to go that direction, correct? Just gravity's going to pull it down there. So that's the low spot on our tank. So from that 1/2 inch, we want to come out of there. I would recommend putting a shutoff valve first. If you get a leak in the system on the way to the pump, you want to have a way to shut that off. So you can buy these PEX valves. These are 1/2 inch, and these are called quarter turns, and they don't leak. Highly recommend those as well. So you kill that valve, you know the water's going to shut off. So from that point there, you come out. I would hit a valve. That's, you know, depends on your budget, I guess, how cheap you want to do things. You can roll the dice. But I would put a valve, and then the next thing you want to do is go to a filter. You want to filter it just in case you get some things in the tank. Algae is naturally going to build up. You'll have to pull these tanks out too from time to time. Put, you know, maybe a couple teaspoons of bleach or something in there and some hot water, and rinse them out once a year, I'd say, would be nice. But you know, you can only do what you can do if you're gone for years at a time and living in these things. But if you get to meet a good friend on a home, and he's on a home front situation, maybe you can talk him into cleaning out your tank every couple of years and get that sediment and stuff out of there, because it's going to build up over time. If you're using city water all the time, I'd say you would have better chances, because it's going to have chlorine in it, which is bleach. Fine small amounts of bleach will sterilize the tank. City water shouldn't have that much of an effect versus well water and such. So we want to go through. This is why I oriented it this direction, and that's why I'm choosing that lower bottom one there on the right towards the rake. That's the way the water's going to run, so we'll get all the water out of the tank, or most of it anyway, and be able to use the full capacity of the tank. So we will hit the filter after the valve, and then we'll go right into our 12-volt pump. So this supplies us with pressure that will pump the water. Okay, and then what we're going to do is we're going to hit a check valve from there, guys. I have a 1/2 inch one of these as well. This one's 3/4. Here's the packaging, actually. 3/4 check valve. That's what it is. You can put copper pipe and other things, PVC. It just stabs right into those things. I think they were, yeah, they still are. I was going to say, I think they were called shark bites in the beginning, but it looks like shark bites kind of taken over the industry with the big box blue store. So they're making all the fittings now, it seems, the crimp style and everything. So so then we're going to hit our pump. So that gives us pressure. As soon as we turn on the electricity to the pump, pump starts pumping. So we're going to hit a check valve, and the reason being is I'd like to be able to hook up to pressurized city water, well water, what have you, if I pull into a campground and want unlimited water, maybe to, you know, take a shower and you know, get off and going with just catching up on dishes, what have you, you know, whatever, you want an unlimited supply of water for a night instead of just going stealth and staying in parking lots and on the sides of the streets and stuff. So when we hook up city water to this system, that's going to provide pressure to the other direction, correct? So this is what we want to use these check valves for. So this will protect the pump from one direction, because water only flows from right to left or left to right. Whichever way you install these check valves, the water flows the arrow direction. So if I am the pump, I would install this right after the pump, so the pump can push water that direction, to make that clear. So the opposite side, we're going to have city water, well water, what have you, that has a pump or a water tank up on a hill, and that provides you pressure or what have you, gravity fed out of a big huge tank. If you guys see those up on hillsides and stuff, that's what those are for. So that's going to push pressure the other direction. So we're going to do the same thing, guys. Right where you would hook up your water hose at the campsite, that would come into the side of your van, supply pressure that already has a pump in theory, and that's going to need a check valve the other direction. So what that's going to do, guys, is protect your pump, and your pump would essentially be pushing back towards the city water, which it's going to lose the fight, I can tell you. I did I forget what you call them, like a solar system, but it heats water on a friend of mine's house many years ago, and there were pumps and controls and things that need to be hooked up. So I went over, figured out all that stuff, and got it hooked up for him, and I kept burning up the pump. I think it happened twice, and he was kind of pissed at me. You know, what did I wire wrong? What did I wire wrong? So I couldn't figure it out. I said, you know, everything's wired right, man. I've been doing this stuff since Moby Dick was a minnow. So come to find out, him and his son had stuck a check valve in backwards, and that's exactly what it was doing. So let's just move on here. Video's starting to add up, so I want to kind of cut this short and just get to the point. So we're going to go from there to the pump, and that will protect each other. So in between those check valves, what we're going to do is tee off, and one line is going to go to the water heater, and that will supply us hot water. Coming back out of the hot water heater, we'll take the hot water directly to our faucet, or faucets if you got a shower. That's our shower pan there. So we're going to have another lid that flips this direction, and you'll be able to get into the shower and stand up. And from that same line, we're also going to take the cold water tee in between the two check valves. One will go to the water heater to supply the hot water, then back to the faucet. And another cold line that's on the way to the water heater will tee off again, and we'll go to the faucets in the sink cabinet, which will be here, looking out the side door, pretty standard, and the cold water supply to this. So that pretty much wraps up your supply line, guys. That's really the most confusing part of doing all of this. So what we have here is 1.5 inches above that. That should be vented so we can get air into the tank. So we need to get that piped somewhere, and my plan is to reduce that 1.5 inches down. I think I'll probably have to get it down to 3/4, sneak it up in here, and I'm going to take it up to the sink because it's going to be the highest elevation that I can get air without sneaking something through the wall here and trying to get a pipe up through the roof, which hence why we did the ladder rack with the solar panels up top, because I didn't want to penetrate the roof the least amount of times with screws or what have you. See, that's my solar feed coming through the roof. It's the only penetration in my roof, so we have very little chance of water leaks. So as long as we get our vent pipe above the tank, we should be fine in theory. And with this flex, I could run this, and if you ever look under your sink, there's a U shape under there called a P-trap. So it comes down from the sink and makes a 180 turn and then goes out to your sewer for your drain. So in theory, I think we could probably bring this out of here and we'll put a check valve in there. There's a style that you can get for these sub pumps. There it is right there in the corner. That was, I believe, about 15 bucks too, if I'm not mistaken. They do sell actual ones meant for this. You can look into that, but I'm going to try that. And that just basically keeps dirt from getting back into your pump, because sub pumps are used in basements and things when it rains a lot. You can put them on an automatic switch if it lifts the float level. There's a little diagram there of a sub pump. So that'll just kick on automatically to pump water out of your basement and things like that. So it just kind of keeps trash out of there, but I think it's going to work. It was available, so I just picked it up and we're going to try. But I don't think it's going to be big time airtight to prevent fumes from coming back. But it's fresh water anyway, so I don't think it's going to be too bad anyway. It's not like it's putting out gases from a septic tank that you would have underneath the van in some cases. But my toilet's going to set in the shower, and it's all self-contained, like a porta potty, so it has its own tank, and you drop the tablets and stuff in there. So that just needs to be elevated above the tank. It's somewhere so you can just get some air to the tank, and it's like holding your thumb over a straw, guys. It's going to hold it in there, or fight it at least, if you don't have any fresh air coming back in. So actually I screwed up on that, this 1/2 inch back here, because it's the highest part of the tank. So I actually have to increase that to 3/4, I believe. Getting a little sidetracked here with our stories. This guy here is going to be our fresh water coming in if we're off the grid. So my plan with that is to take it around the back of the tank, and I'm going to sneak it into the shower wall right here below the lumber. So if I just need to fill the tank, because our check valve won't allow us to fill it from the city water. I guess a guy could put the check valve, and that would prevent your issues, and then have a couple shut-off valves where you would just, or just one I guess you would need, where you could take an actual 1/4 turn valve like we got here, and you could go around the check valve, but you'd have to remember to turn that valve on and off, or your city water would fill up the tank as it's supplying water to your faucets and such. So as a safety measure, this is probably a better way of doing it, but just thinking out loud there a bit, I guess. So I can take a water hose, put it in this hose. Going to use this stuff here, and then I'll probably just put a cap on it. Here it is. That guy there. We'll just screw into that when we're not using it. They do make a triple setup that you can put into the side of the van. I want to somewhat stay a little stealthy, and there's, you know, evil people in the world, of course, so that's another reason I want to keep mine inside, because there's tales of people doing naughty things, putting stuff in your tank from the outside of the van. So there's a triple where you can put your city water, it has a little air vent, which is where you would take that other one we discussed, and the third would be for your fresh water, just to fill your tank. So I didn't want to go that option, so I'm just kind of using my 40 years of experience in construction and doing it my own way. You guys know, if you watch this channel, it's just like the tankless water heater. I didn't go that way. This is a 20-gallon, a lot cheaper for the most part. Excuse me. It was less than 200 bucks if I recall. And that also acts as a storage tank. So I've got 40-gallon freshwater tank here. And once this pump or city water fills that tank up, we've got another 20 gallons, guys. So I've got 60 gallons of fresh water. Now, you got to be cautious of that because you don't want the water heater to burn up the elements inside. Or I guess if you went gas, you wouldn't have that issue. But then you got an issue with fire. I think they have safety measures in there maybe for that situation. But you want to be responsible. If you don't want that thing powered up electrically, it's going to blow elements, and then you got more problems if it doesn't have any water in it. So make sure your water heater's completely full, put it on a switch, and just use it sparingly is my plan. I mean, unless I'm doing dishes or taking a shower, I'll hit the switch. Might even put a timer switch, might be the best way of dealing with that. Actually, I just thought of that. And you can set the timer for 30 minutes or something, and you know, the water heater will just kick off automatically. Once that hot water's hot in there, you know, I'd say it's going to stay not as hot as you want, but probably the next day even, it's probably going to be still fairly warm unless you got the AC going or whatever in here at room temperature, and that water in there's 120 degrees or something. It's going to stay hot for quite a while. So no reason to burn your energy unless you're plugged into grid power and you can afford to use grid power. So okay, we got supply figured out. This will be capped off. I'm getting a little sidetracked again, but I feel like there's one missing. We got our vent. Yeah, that one there won't be used. Yeah, so we've got them all. Yep, just kind of double checking myself here. So this one being the high side of the tank, that's why we want to use that as a vent. We want air. We want that one there to be the supply because it's the lowest side working with the rake. This is the opposite, so this is the high point, and we want to take it even higher. I'm going to take that up to one of those air drains that you would use for a dishwasher and put it up in the sink. This guy will be our supply that we're going to run around into the shower just in case we get a little backflow. Once the tank's full, you know, it will spit out some water, but it's going to go right into the drain, and the drain will go down out into a little 15-gallon tank, I think, a little flat guy that I'm going to mount up underneath. So we're looking good, guys. Everything is dynamite. As far as costs for all these fittings, I didn't buy anything online. It's just, you know, you're going to mess up doing this, even if you got as much experience as I do, unless you really sit down and dial in a list. And I'm going to be honest with you, it's not worth the time. It's going to take you hours, and you're still going to miss something. The old saying with plumbing, you're going to the store 3 times. So I'm going to try this stuff. We'll keep you guys posted in the future. Stay tuned. I don't see that stuff there being a problem with drain lines. Supply, you're going to want to use PEX. That way you don't have any leaks. It's under pressure. But this is just drain line, guys. So don't spend a bunch of money on drain line. I think that's really going to be dynamite. 24 feet for 15 bucks, and even came with a couple fittings. So I spent $225, and I can almost assure you I'm going to be missing a few pieces once we get going in this. Like I said, probably had 20 minutes or something in the store just throwing stuff in the cart. But in reality, I'm probably going to take back probably $100 worth of this $225 that I purchased, because I kind of got it somewhat separated. But you see, you know, 2 of these, 3 of those, da-da-da-da-da. So I'm probably going to end up taking close to $100 worth back, and probably end up buying, you know, another $25 worth of missing goods that we're going to need. So 200 bucks, I think a person, as long as this works out, and I think it's going to, a person should be able to knock this stuff out as far as all of your fittings to and from the water heater, to your faucets, shower and sink, everything, probably a couple $100. I can't see it being over 300, even in other countries, and even with all these price hikes that we're all experiencing. So don't stress over plumbing. $200-300, you should be able to knock it all out. The tank, the water heater, your faucets, the sinks, the shower pan, that's where your money is. I'm going to say $200, $100 I think I spent on the tank. These shower pans can be spendy. Shop around, guys. These things can be very, very expensive. I think I got this one maybe $200 or maybe about 150, but it took me a long time to find the dimensions that I needed and the right cost. Faucets are endless. You guys probably know the cost of faucets. You know, you can get a $75 faucet, or you can get a, you know, $300 faucet. So I think that covers just about everything, guys. The other tank for the drain, you don't really need one underneath. It's, if you're not hooked up to the sewer, of course. It's just water, but I'm gonna put one under there. I mean, I might find a person's driveway that I can park in for a few days or something, and I don't want to spray water all over their driveway and stuff. So you know, you might have some kitchen scraps or something that work their way down the sink and stuff, and you know, pieces of corn laying in his driveway, etc. So the tank underneath, you don't need a very big one, 10 gallons, 15 gallons or something, and you know, just leave it cracked open most of the time, and it'll at least catch your food particles and, you know, little dirty water. Use eco-friendly soaps and things like that when you're doing dishes and things like that, so it's good to the environment. So I knew this was going to be a long one, guys. Oh, I have to take a water line to the washer too. Yeah, we got a washer in here if this is your first time watching. And I got a dryer, this is probably half the size of the freezer on the fridge there, and I went with an upright. Yeah, and that was through the big orange box stores, about $1,000. It's big, guys. I think it was 6.5 cubic feet or something. This is, I want to say, about 6-foot ceiling to the wood planks I got started up there, and we got the RV AC unit installed. So everything's coming along. I got a little bit of time because I'm waiting on a cabinet that still hasn't showed up for the kitchen. So I'm super busy. We jumped out of the horse trailer. We're going to call that the Iron Horse trailer, hauling the Harley in that. But I got my lift bolted down. I pushed it all the way to one side just in case I got a buddy that wants to go to Sturgis or something this year, next year. At least we can get 2 bikes in there. If I need to work on the opposite side of the bike, I'll just have to back it in and have to get somebody to help me push it up there on the ramp. So I just decided to push it to one side. It'll be a little lopsided, but it's most of the weight's over the axles, and it's a double axle trailer, so take your own precautions if you do something like that. And like we went over on the last video, those enclosed trailers are through the roof right now. There's a shortage, so I'd advise trying to find a horse trailer, guys. They're just as good, maybe a little less secure because they got windows, but who doesn't like windows? And a guy could always take a couple pieces of rebar and weld them on the inside, which is probably what I'm going to do to keep a person from even knocking a window out and jumping in there. I don't have any windows in here for safety reasons as well. I personally don't like the windows because, you know, I'm going to use this for work in different strange cities, and you know, I may end up in Washington, D.C., where I'm originally from, and they will knock a window out in these rougher areas in the world. So Windows aren't always as nice as they seem. Of course, if you're in a decent place in the world, a person always wants to look outside, but to me, you know, once I'm in here and set up for the night, I don't really need to look outside. I can set up some cameras even and do something like that. Actually, I have a reverse camera, so could always flip on the monitor, see if I see something out back. And as far as the front, I can jump up front, look through the windshield, and see what I got going on up there. So I'll probably put a curtain or something up there in between the seats and the fridge, and it is what it is. Maybe later on I might actually put a sliding door or something up there, even if somebody was to bust out a window up front, or Slim Jim a lock or something to get in here. But you can only do so much for security. Everyone knows that. A good thief's going to get in no matter what. But the whole thing is if you can slow them down a couple minutes, that might be life-changing. If you can catch them in the act, you might be able to break out the old six-pack of whoop ass. Alright guys, so we'll catch you on the next one. I just wanted to let you know we're back in the van. I know you guys are excited as I am. I have seen my views go down doing these little sidetracks here and there, but happy wife is happy life. So not like we're doing this for a job and collecting any profits. Don't have any sponsors or anything. This is all my own money, and we're just trying to educate the world and leave something behind when I'm dead and gone, and pushing up daisies. So till next time, hit the like, comment below, subscribe to the channel, and we are coming along slowly but surely. I'm doing this 100% all by myself, and we're gonna get there, guys. My hope is to have this thing at least livable here in the next few months, so I can at least get out and do at least one trip by the end of the year, maybe sooner. If my missing cabinet doesn't show up, we're going to have a lot more time out here, so I can get done even quicker. So, love you all. This is Van with the Van Life Biker Show, and I'm out. Peace.